Okay, good evening. I'd like to get started. Good evening. You could be spending your Monday nights anywhere, but you've chosen to spend it here with us tonight, and we're so grateful to have you. And also a special welcome to those that are tuning in on our streaming channel. Welcome to you as well. We're glad to be able to spend this time with you tonight and share with you all the work we have been doing to get us ready for August of 2026, when pretty much everything about the landscape of Bethel Park is going to change, all for the better. Tonight we want to sort of peel back the curtain a little bit and have you see some of the work in a little more detail that we've been doing. We also want to share some of the great renderings of that building, what it will look like upon completion. And at the end, we will stay as long as we need to answer any and all of your questions. Although I got to say that there's probably some we haven't thought of yet or haven't prepared for yet, so don't be surprised to hear us say something like, that's a good one, we'll have to get back to you on that. Because there's just an awful lot that we've been working on, and there's also an awful lot left to do, too, as we get closer and closer to our launch date. I'm pleased to and grateful that joining me this evening are a whole slew of the Bethel Park School District administrative team. You're going to hear from most of them during the evening as we take turns sharing bits and pieces of our work on the progress. I'll start myself, and if I haven't met you yet, I'm Jim Walsh. I'm the superintendent, and I've been so thankful and grateful to a great school board that has sort of had a vision for Bethel Park's future, and tonight we're going to be able to take a good deep dive into a big part of that future. We've got this PowerPoint here all centering around a theme of park, state park, national park, park trail. And that's not by accident or coincidental, it's actually intentional, because the entire theme of the construction project and the design of the building is about the adventure that awaits inside. It's designed with that theme in mind. You're going to see a lot of great images to highlight that theme as we get through the evening. So our agenda that we hope to accomplish with you tonight is to start talking a bit about the design process and how we got to where we are today, what stops we made on this journey, and what were the highlights of that trip. We want you to also see and hear from some of the key people that have been involved in this process, the experts and talented educators who have contributed to our plans on this journey. We want to give you as much of the look inside of the building to see what you're going to get in 2026. We also want to visit some of the systems that we're going to put into place there, some of the support systems that we have designed or will carry forward from our current elementary project, our elementary schools. We want to talk a lot about the community that we hope to create in the school and that sense of neighborhood feel that we think will develop in the building. There are some of the operational things to share with you tonight. It's about technology, safety, security, transportation plans, and so on. And as I promised, we'll have plenty of time for questions near the end. So the team here, some of the images of those that have contributed on our journey, or most of them here tonight also, of the educational administrators that have participated in design meetings and some of the planning conversations that we've had. And I'm most grateful for their contributions, because everybody brought some great ideas to the table, and that makes the project all that much more rich. One of the things that we want to emphasize in the earliest part of tonight's presentation is something that I've heard multiple times from this team, that what makes our elementary schools so special, what makes Penn, Penn, what makes Franklin, Franklin, what makes Lincoln, Lincoln, and Memorial, Memorial, and of course Washington, Washington. What makes them special is not the brick or the ceiling height or the lighting design, it's the people. It's the teachers, support professionals, the administrators. It's the programs and services. And number one, most important thing for us is that those folks are going to be there in August of 2026, welcoming our students and recreating that magic in the new school. We're not losing any of that in the transition. That's the most important thing for us, is protecting that strong connection we have with those teachers and all of that expertise that they bring to us. Which also reminds me, an important point to make tonight is that we have made this promise, the board's made this promise, that nobody's going to get furloughed or nobody losing jobs. There's no programs getting cut. It's everybody is going to have a place. Every program's going to have a spot. We're going to be as good as, certainly better than, I hope, than where we were when we started this project in 2021. I'd also like to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about the administrative structure, because it's no mystery. Certainly when you pulled in tonight in Park, you saw the massivity of the building. It is a large building, 270-some thousand square feet, and lots of amenities in it. And it was sort of priority for this team to organize the building in a way that shrinks it down, makes it feel more like a neighborhood. One of the first things we've done is organized it administratively so that there was people responsible for smaller groups. In addition to an overall building principal, who you'll be hearing from shortly, we also are going to have 3, what I'm calling unit principals, responsible for 2 grade level bands. We're going to use the phrase ecosystem to refer to those grade level bands, but those units will be as if it was their own building, responsible for the students and the programs and the systems go on in those grade levels. So all the administrative pieces contribute to that ultimate goal of distilling the building down and feeling small neighborhood and building those powerful connections to each other. One of the more popular questions we're getting right now from our teachers, from our paraprofessionals and other support folks, is often like, well, where am I going to be? What's my spot going to be? And quite simply, if you're teaching 3rd grade today, you'll be teaching 3rd grade in 2026. It's relatively that straightforward. There are a few situations, mostly in the special areas, where folks will be splitting. Some will be coming into the new elementary center. Some will be going into, oh, I just said it, Mr. Scalzo, I said center. I apologize. He's going to keep tabs on me tonight and make sure I don't say it, but I just did. Elementary school, some are going to end up at Neil Armstrong or at the IMS, like a music department will split. So we'll have a full complement of music folks at the elementary school, and 6th grade teachers will be moving up to Independence Middle School and taking those programs and their services up there. So everybody's going to land, and they should have a pretty good idea of where they're going to land. And those special cases we're working out with our teachers and our department chairs over the coming months. I also wanted to visit the concept of design thinking. And it was a phrase that we use a lot when we teach kids in terms of STEAM and STEAM programming, how to engage in the design thinking. One of our middle school courses, Invention Land, really emphasizes this design thinking. And so this was the perfect opportunity for us as administrators to walk that walk and to design according to the design thinking process. And it's used outside of schools as well, of course. Design thinking is a very common strategy in business world as well. But what we wanted to do was sort of think divergently and allow this to be seen more as an opportunity. We didn't want to just scoop something up and drop it into the new school as if it was exactly the way we wanted it to be. We wanted to be able to lift it up, look closely at it, find ways to make it better, and then move it into the new building. So our the design thinking process is to evaluate the strengths and opportunities and to then move into the new school or the new setting the best parts of those programs and services and so forth. I also wanted to share with you some of the collaborators those outside of Bethel Park that have been key to our journey. We'll start with the architectural firm of Draw Collective, celebrating their 80th anniversary of architectural work in schools. They probably were a part of designs of Bethel Park schools in the years past. A great group and really forward-thinking, and they've created all the plans. In fact, one of their designs was the state park theme that went into the building, and again, you'll see and hear more about that shortly. Also a part of this would be our faculty. We've had quite a number of meetings with faculty where they were able to look at classroom designs and give feedback to the architects directly, or talk about their needs in terms of programming or even furniture input. They're going to have a part of that too. And you'll see in the picture there some of the artifacts that we were collecting, evidence of their input during this design process over the past 18 months. One of my favorite meetings we've been having was with the Pittsburgh Children's Museum. Of course, legendary Pittsburgh institution now that have created educational, fun educational, engaging educational experiences across our region, and they have been intimately involved in designing parts of our project as well. It's parts of the STEAM space and what you're going to see here shortly in our outdoor classroom. So we're most grateful for their contributions. Perhaps our most favorite contributors have been students. And you'll see here in the slide images of the students who are participating in some what we were calling design charrettes. These moments where we talk about their interests and needs and how we could better meet those needs in a new school. This group up here in the images contributed to the design of the playgrounds. I think the question we asked them was, what are your favorite things to do on the playground? What brings you joy? What keeps you from playing, relaxing on the playground? So they had great answers. We have great ideas from those contributions, and they too have helped make the building all that much better. In addition to the students, we also had parts of their families involved. We've had parents stay meetings. In fact, we were here January of 23 in this room talking about the project with our architects, getting input from the community. Bethel Park Police, Bethel Park Municipality also participated in the design, giving us feedback on things like safety, traffic, and so forth. And of course, I already mentioned them, but can't go without saying that the school board has been a part of the design since day one. And then the most recent collaborating group is K-12. They're a large furniture broker, and they're going to help us with making selections on the educational furniture and fixtures and equipment that will go into the building in all the spaces to make them as optimal and as functional as we can. So I'd like to turn the microphone over now. I want to introduce to you Mrs. Lisa Miracle Volpe, who is the new principal of Bethel Park Elementary School. She's going to take it from here. Volpe, you're up.
Give me 1 second to get organized. So this evening, we're going to take you on a journey that's been 4 years in the making. And we're going to start with the entrance drive so you can see what that will look like via King's School Road. And we were able to use this the other day when we went to the beam raising ceremony, and it is absolutely a breathtaking view when you enter the premises. So we're being very intentional about our design of spaces, our learning experiences, and our relationships for the future of Bethel Park's elementary school. And really, we're doing this together. We're not just opening a school, we're building a legacy. Oh no. So we really want our school to be a place where students want to come and learn and where teachers want to teach. And if both of those things are working together, it will be a wonderful place to learn. We often talk about 21st century learning skills and how that translates to our student experience. And right now in all of our buildings, we teach these skills, but we're definitely looking now towards the next 25 to 50 years in the future. So we have to think about what skills will our kindergartners who enter this building need at the end of the 2030s, going into 2040. So we're looking to prepare students for an increasingly complex and technology-driven world, where we encourage them not only to fail, but to make mistakes and to retry and to struggle while also having fun. And learning, that can mean both of those things are happening. Educators are going to support them to follow those curiosities using both low and high tech technologies because they all matter. And they will help learners develop relationships and cross-cultural understandings so that not only will they be able to join society in our community, but in the larger community of the world. And these are just some of the ways in which educators plan to accomplish these goals. And throughout our process of planning, these ideals have been and will continue to be considered in our decision making. There's a necessity here to maintain the feelings of connectedness and belonging that the families in our community have come to depend on in our neighborhood schools. And by bringing together the resources of all 6 buildings that are closing, we can better utilize staff and resources and materials to give an equitable and more inclusive learning environment for all students. And as students age, they're more able to take on responsibility. And nowhere have I seen this more than here with our 5th graders at Neil Armstrong. They are quite independent and responsible. And as we go into the new elementary school, we'll be dependent on them to be the leaders of the building, to partner with younger grade levels, and to really help us create a center that is both student-centered and student-led. There will be plenty of opportunities for our families to interact with us as we prepare to open this new school. So as Dr. Walsh mentioned earlier, it is a large building, and it's going to be divided into 3 major sections. Each of the floors we're calling ecosystems because an ecosystem can survive on its own. So each floor will house 2 grade level wings, an administrator, a nurse, a counselor, almost everything that a student would need. And throughout their day, they shouldn't go more than 1 floor up or down to access something that they may need, like the cafeteria. But mostly, the ecosystem is where they'll spend their day. And within that ecosystem, each grade level will belong in its own neighborhood, just 1 grade level in 1 neighborhood. That will have all of the classrooms and some learning support spaces as well, and small group instruction areas. Within the neighborhood, there will be houses of clusters of 4 or 5 classrooms to give an even smaller, more intimate feel. And those staff and students will have the same schedule throughout the day so that they have more time for connectedness. So it should not feel as large as what we see on the outside when you're inside. And now you can see our blueprints have truly come to life. And this is what we see every day at Neil Armstrong. It's been really, really fun for the students and staff to watch out the window as each part of this process has happened here. And we've watched it rise right in our yard. As you can see, this is a little bit of a different perspective. In the background, you can see Neil Armstrong, and that the building actually sits a little bit lower on the property than Neil Armstrong does today. And now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Mandy Figlioli to come up and give a virtual tour of what we really would like to see is inside our hallways and classrooms.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mandy Figlioli. I'm the assistant to the superintendent for elementary education. So my specific role is related to all things grades K through 5. I've been with the district for about 4 years, and so when I arrived here, this project was already well underway. Has truly been one of the most amazing things I've ever been able to be part of in my life. So we're really excited to give you a tour of the building, a virtual tour. I'll be your tour guide, and we're going to go floor by floor. We're going to start on the main floor. You're going to be walking into the building on the main floor. It's actually called the first floor, but it's the main floor where the front lobby is. It's in the middle of the top and the bottom floor. What you're looking at here is a secure vestibule. If you look to your left, there's access to the large auditorium, seats over 600. If you look there in the middle where the windows are by the stone, that is the security office. And if you look straight ahead, that is where you are walking into the building, but not before you go into the office on the right, where everyone will be raptured to get in. Like Dr. Walsh mentioned, the theme is going to be National Park. So you're going to see elements of nature all throughout the building when you're walking around. There was some real intentionality done in the design process to make sure that this building was appropriate for children of the age span that we're serving, and also for a space this large. So when we're looking through this, you're going to see a lot of elements of nature. You're going to see wood, rock, water, plants. You're going to see natural light in the building in different places. You're going to see how they took large hallways and broke them into smaller spaces. You could be walking down a hallway, it goes wider, and then smaller, so you're not just looking down a very long hallway. They did some really amazing things in the hallways for the students. Human scale design, we'll talk more about that when we get to the bottom floor for our littlest learners. You're also going to see that there's a lot of color and texture and materials in the space. Here are some of the colors that you're going to see throughout the building. Wayfinding is something that designers use when designing a space to help the person in the building find their way around. So keep these 3 colors in mind. You're going to be seeing a lot of them. Also the symbols as well, a prominent symbol of a fern, a dandelion, and a pine cone. So this here is kind of the code to wayfinding. On the bottom floor where we have our little learners, it will be blue triangles that our students will be looking for. Kindergarten will have the purplish fern. First grade has the yellowish fern. So there are indicators all over their side of the wing to help them find their way. Second and third grade, on that middle floor, they will be using a yellow circle, an aqua dandelion for second grade, and a red dandelion for third grade. Fourth grade will be using diamonds, fourth and fifth, of a green shade, with an orange pine cone in fourth grade and a purple pine cone in fifth grade. So we'll spend a lot of time at the beginning of the school year making sure that the students understand the wayfinding and how to find their way around. But like Mrs. Miracle said, they won't have to go more than a floor up or down each day. Some things on the top that you're also going to see scattered throughout the design: dappled light, sunrise, trail markings, sunset. The theme is just so beautiful throughout the space. What you're looking here is at the main floor commons. So when you've walked into the main entrance of the space, to the right when you walk in, again, I told you, is that main office. That's where you're going to have the friendly faces that you're used to seeing in our buildings. You'll also have our head principal and the unit principal for that floor. Also a nursing suite and a counseling suite within that main office. On the left is, before you even go through the the safety vestibule, is a really, really nice community room that we can use with Partners in Learning. PTO can have access to that space. So we're really excited to have a large group instruction space that can be used flexibly. There's your auditorium. Behind the auditorium is the music wing. There are many, many music classrooms to accommodate all of the programs. So that's that first common area. If you walk down Main Street, you'll see on the left where the cafeteria is, you're going to have two different sides of the cafeteria. So you'll have a K-2 cafeteria. It has its own kitchen and its own serving lane so that all the younger students can get their lunch there. 3 to 5 also has their own serving lane and kitchen so that they can facilitate lunches on that side of the cafeteria as well. At the end of Main Street, you'll have the full gymnasium and 2 health classes. On the right side of Main Street, you can see at the end here we have art, we have a STEAM classroom, and you'll have the access to the 2nd and 3rd grade neighborhoods. Excuse the grade levels on the bottom. They are not correct. When we first started planning the building, they had suggested a different location for grade levels, but we have decided on K-1 downstairs, 2 and 3 in the middle, and 4 and 5 in the top. This is when you're walking past, when you've come out of that secure vestibule, the main lobby. If you look up, you can notice that canopy to kind of make you feel like you're in the rainforest. And at the very end of that hallway, you can see the wayfinding begins. Wayfinding is not just for students, it's also for the adults who are in the building. Here is a rendering of the auditorium. Notice the elements of stone and wood. This is the 3 to 5 cafeteria. And the K-2. This is around the stairway on the Main Street floor, right in the middle floor. And this is just a stairway that goes up through the middle of the building. You can see on the side here where there's the glass in the windows that we see that aqua, which will help students in that grade level know where they are. This is a same picture, but a different view of that location. I want you to notice that against that wall, it's lined in LED lights, and it's able to be programmed and colored. It's really beautiful, and we're really excited about the things that we can do with it. You can also see that there's natural light in as many spaces as we possibly could. Also, you're going to notice throughout the building the flexible furniture. We want the building to be active everywhere, that learning goes beyond just 4 walls of the classroom, so that you can be, if you're out in the space waiting on a teacher, working on some homework, there are lots of spaces outside of the classrooms for the students to enjoy. This is another way that the architects tried to narrow those hallways to make them feel a little bit smaller. So this is a tunnel that's meant to symbolize like sunrise and sunset, and they put some really unique display cases in that are shaped like leaves. We think the kids are going to really love these. Some of the amenities, things that are going to be unique to Bethel Park Elementary School that we feel like other schools do not have, and we're really, really proud of these. We have 3 STREAM labs. We have an outdoor classroom and a rooftop garden, a movement and a fitness room, 2-floor suite of music rooms, an early literacy library, and a main library media center. Lots of collaborative and flexible spaces throughout the building, and a fully accessible and customized educational support spaces. Something that you're probably not familiar with of everything that I've talked about so far is STREAM. STREAM is a program that will be unique to Bethel Park. If you've heard of STEAM, you know that that's science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. We have chosen to include an R for resourcefulness. As technology is rapidly changing and we're starting to figure out what life is going to be like with artificial intelligence, one of the traits that remains unique to humans is resourcefulness. Being able to use everything at your disposal, whether it's high tech or low tech, to be able to think critically and solve problems. So some of the units of study that students will be studying in STREAM would be engineering and design, data literacy, digital citizenship, computer science, digital storytelling, environmental literacy, and passion projects where students can learn more about the things that they're interested in. So STREAM will be a new unified art offered to our students in grades K through 5, and that will be in that rotation that students have every week, every 5 days, or every 6 days. Here is a rendering of the STREAM lab on the main floor. Drop-down power, so that there's access right there at the table for students. This one is really going to be focused on digital fabrication, using design, computer design, to send that design to a machine that then brings that to life. Things like laser engravers, vinyl cutters, 3D printers, circuits, And that right there is called a Hummingbird robotics kit. It is the best of both worlds. You're designing something out of low-tech materials and then using that Hummingbird kit to code it and bring it to life. This is an example of one of those flexible spaces in the neighborhood. You can see there that the wayfinding is very obvious. We have yellow circles and we have a green dandelion. Every student will have their own locker, K through 5. There are communal sinks in the hallway. And also notice that there is some more flexible seating available. This is another view of a neighborhood activity center. This one is at the front of a hallway. In every wing, we have a small group instruction space. Those are available for teachers to do various things. If you look down both ways of the hallway, you can see other flexible learning locations that the students can use. These are some of the furniture pieces that we'll be using in those common spaces that we want the students to really be able to make the space their own. Working with K-12, like Dr. Walsh said, they will be providing all of these forms of seating for us this year, and we'll rotate them through the schools just to kind of give the students a chance to try them out and see how they interact with them. But when you hear us say flexible, soft seating, these are the kind of things that we're talking about. This is your typical classroom at Bethel Park Elementary School. There are 2 whiteboards, dry erase boards in the front of the building, also a digital whiteboard, interactive whiteboard. Back of the room has another large dry erase board. There's also some dry erase surfaces on the cabinets. There's casework for the teacher, but the classroom really is wide open. We hope to have furniture, if you notice, on wheels so that it can be moved around quickly depending on the activity that you're doing in the classroom. What you can't see is under the windows, there are low shelves where the teachers can put their classroom libraries, and there's also a little bench there below the window that the students could sit on. All right, we're going to move down to the ground floor. This is where our K and 1 classrooms are. This is that center stairway that we saw on the middle floor, but this one is down on the ground floor. If you can notice in the back there, there's a little stage built for the students if they wanted to perform anything that they've been working on. More flexible seating for students. Also, you can see that wayfinding. This hall, I want to say, is this particular floor is specifically designed for our youngest students. So furniture, countertops, restrooms, those things are all going to be built to scale for appropriate for the size of our littlest learners. This is another neighborhood activity center. I'm sure you're starting to get the feel for what those look like. I want you to notice, the next one has it, these pegboards here that are on the wall. There's going to be a lot of pegboards throughout the building. They're great for display. You can display things that are flat. You can also use hooks to display things that are 3D, and they work with magnets. They're very, very easy to use so that we can keep those showcases fresh with new student work. Again, more flexible seating, dry erase board for the teacher. If you look down the hallway, there's another example of how it goes in and then out, just to make that large space feel small. This is the early literacy library on the bottom floor. You'll notice the nature theme is definitely prevalent in this space. There are cozy nooks for reading, open spaces for read-alouds. It also has a full classroom on the left side of this space. There's a Lego wall, also Lego tables, and all of the bookshelves are going to be movable. We really want to encourage the teachers and the librarians to use that space as creatively and flexibly as you like. I really want to give a big shout out to the librarians. They've been working hard to merge our collections and prepare for this move. But we will still have books, lots of books. I sometimes hear rumors that there won't be any books. That could not be farther from the truth. There's also a primary stream lab studio on the bottom floor, and this space is really inspired by, if you've ever been to the Children's Museum in their make shop, they had a really large hand in helping us design this space. In this space, they're going to be doing things like cardboard engineering, take-aparts. That's how you really learn the parts and purposes and complexities of how things work. starting to do some coding, that very, very early computational thinking, and lots and lots and lots of supplies. We want everything to be accessible to the kids so that when they're designing and creating, they know exactly what they're working with, and they can be as resourceful as possible when they do that. All right, I'm going to take you up to the top floor. This is where the 4th and 5th grade classrooms will be housed. I also want to point out that there is a bridge that connects both grade level wings. You'll get another look at what this looks like outside, but it's inside the school. So you can get from one side to the other at the end of the grade level wing or towards the back of the grade level wing on that bridge. So up here we're going to look at the library, 2 art rooms, and we also have a health room. Another neighborhood. I'm sure you're starting to get comfortable with the wayfinding here. Same thing. We're really, really proud of the Library Media Center space as well. It's something very, very unique to Bethel Park School District. We've got 2 classrooms, an additional stream lab, a space for audio and video recording, read aloud areas, areas for independent reading, and also a rooftop garden. If you're walking right into the library and you go straight, where you see that stone wall, there'll be an electric fireplace there, a nice cozy spot for kids to read. If you go past that stone wall, that is where you'll pass through a little wash station before you go to the rooftop garden. Chances are things are going to be messy out there, so we wanted a space for the kids to be able to clean off before they come back in. If you walk in and look left, in that left-hand corner is where that additional stream lab will be. That's just another space where students can be learning those skills and dispositions of the future-ready workforce. And all of it can come together in these spaces. And so when they're getting to the 4th and 5th grade stream class, we're really excited to see what they can do with all of the skills that they've developed. Circulation desk on the left. Here's a little rendering of the stream lab in that space. Again, this one will have drop-down power from the ceiling, tools for digital fabrication. And you'll notice that these spaces, all of the materials really need to be open and accessible to the students so that they can use them and they know what is available to them. This is behind the circulation desk, an open classroom space that could be used by the librarians or if the teachers wanted to bring their class to the library. This is the circulation desk on the right. To the left would be the home of our tech rangers. It'll be right there, tech support if a teacher or a student would need it, right there available in the media center. All of the shelves in this library will also be on casters and able to be flexibly moved. To the right here, you can see that that classroom is closed in. That's another classroom. If you look towards the back of this slide, the back left, that is the recording studio for both sound and video. And all the way back, if you go to the left in the back, would be that 3rd classroom. So there's a lot of space for both the librarians and also any teacher who just wanted to bring their class to a different space. You'll notice there's some different types of furniture up here. This will be our older learners, and we really want them to have agency in that space to be able to find a place that's comfortable. And whether they came to read or do research or create something in the stream lab, that space is equipped for just about everything. All right, the last stop on our tour, we're going to go outside and look at some of the amenities. This is that first blueprint that Miss Miracle was showing. You can see that there are 2 playgrounds. Both of those are accessible through the building, so that K-2 playground is accessible through the primary gym. The 3 to 5 playground is accessible through the cafeteria. But what I want to talk to you about next is right there in the middle of the wings is that outdoor learning courtyard. This is a rendering of the playground. I want to point out, and I wanted to say this earlier, that if you see furniture or fixtures that are placed in these renderings, it may not be exactly what ends up going into the school. These are the things that the architects put in kind of as placeholders, and we're really trying to make thoughtful decisions with the feedback from the teachers and the students and other stakeholders about what works best in these spaces. So this is just a rendering of what the primary playground would look like. This is a rendering of the outdoor classroom. We'll be calling it Nature Lab. An outdoor classroom really offers a lot of benefits for students. Besides the fact that it's multisensory, they can go outside, get fresh air, they're immediately engaged when they go outside. So we're really excited about this space. It's a large space, and it has distinct activity areas throughout the space, but really it can just be, it's an open area that can be accessed, and it will be open to the public like the playgrounds in the evenings. Right when you walk out of the primary stream lab, you're walking out into an area that is paved. Smooth surface there. You'll have tables, different things to store items that the students will be using outside, opportunities for creative expression and creative play. Here's some of the things you might see in that first space. Rock kitchen, water table, easels that could be made of plastic, blackboard, different tools that you can use to write outside, and blocks that are able to stay outside. These are some of the seating options that you might see out there. Students could be just tinkering and playing alone, or the teacher may be doing a little small mini lesson out there. We also want to make sure that we have plenty of opportunities to capitalize on the light and the sound in nature, so that you'll see different tools out there for the students to explore. This is a farther back view of the outdoor classroom, and we're really, really excited about this piece. Scattered throughout the outdoor classroom will be the simple machines. And we are working with a company, not a company, it's a nonprofit in Pittsburgh called the Industrial Arts Workshop. And essentially they're a welding shop that brings students in for after-school programs or summer programs, and they teach the students to weld, but they also teach them to weld artistically. So we've been working with them. The first time we went out, if you can see Dr. Walsh there, is with Zen. He's our first piece of artwork to go in the school. He'll be in the outdoor classroom. He is a praying mantis made of metal parts by one of the students who was working at the Industrial Arts Workshop. So really, really excited about the opportunity that this brings to this space, and to see what the creations look like in working with this company. We'll also have a school garden on that tail end of the outdoor classroom. There's so many different ways that students can garden, and we really want the kids to be a part of planning that and deciding how we're planting, what we're planting. We want to give them that agency in design and planning. And, you know, benefits of a school garden are countless. Not only are they going to want to eat the foods that they're growing, nothing teaches you how to be patient like gardening, but it's just a nice place for them to have something that they can contribute to the school community. We spent a good deal of time with Pittsburgh Botanic Garden in learning about some of the landscaping that we should be including, and also some of the styles of gardening that they're doing with students. The last piece that I wanted to point out about the Nature Lab is the interactive signage. So in the spirit of wayfinding, you're going to see signs that are going to help you navigate that space. You may have signs that are interactive, that change often, so students can interact with the environment and learn from it. I really want to give a big thank you to 3 financial partners that we've been working with. I want to thank Dr. Walsh for the time and effort in grant writing, and we've received financial support from the Bethel Park Community Foundation, the Bethel Park Education Foundation, and the Jefferson Regional Foundation. And when we started dreaming for this project, we were dreaming big, and we are very, very grateful for the support of our partners to be able to bring that outdoor classroom to life. I'm going to turn it back over to Mrs. Miracle so she can tell you a little bit about the infrastructure that student supports will be under.
Okay. Within any elementary school, there are support systems that help all students succeed. In our new building, each ecosystem will have specific supports that are made for those grade spans. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about what a student's day will look like. You can see that each of our subjects will be approximately 50 minutes long. That way we've broken down the day into 50-minute blocks, and we'll be able to use those times creatively to make sure we fit in not only all of the core content for the day, but all the other parts of an elementary school day that make it wonderful for students. And now I'm going to bring up Dr. Mensch, who's coming up next on MTSS. It was a quick one. Here for a sec, I know.
Hi, everybody. My name is David Minch. I'm the Director of Student Support Services here in Bethel Park. 27-year resident. My kids went to Bethel Park schools. I still have one in school, actually, here in this building. Just to say that if my kids could go to this school, I would be thrilled, this new school. And I'm very happy with the education that my kids got and received in their schools that we have now. But this is very exciting. So I just want to say that as a parent to a parent of a Bethel Park student, this is a great thing for our kids. So my job is to talk about MTSS programming, multi-tiered systems of support. Right now, if you can imagine, anything that Dr. Shu, my colleague, and I deal with is very specialized. So things that our kids need, again, specialized. When you try to replicate that out over 5 buildings, that can be quite a challenge. And by nature, it does create at times inequity in the services that we can give our students. So what I'm very excited about in this school is that Dr. Shu and I will be able to draw on those resources out of one location. You can imagine telling an ESL parent that we have to send their child to another school, maybe a different school than even their sibling goes to. That phone call never has to be made again, and I'm so excited about that as a simple example of being able to pull our resources into one place. So, what are we trying to achieve here with MTSS? One thing that we have at our schools is we do have reading specialists, one at each school, and a math specialist, one at each school. But a true MTSS program looks at skill deficits in students. You might have heard terms such as like foundational skills. Our young readers, they're learning to read, their foundational skills acquisition at that K-1-2 time frame. You know, there's kids that have different needs within those foundational skill groups. But right now, our limitations in the schedule is that we're only able to pull certain numbers of students for the broad category of foundational skills. But in our new program, over here at the new school, we'll be able to draw on more individuals to break those skills down further and be able to really isolate the needs of the students versus a more broad category. So instead of students having access to maybe 1 or 2 specialists or, use gifted as an example, some of our students that need enrichment, having gifted education 1 day a week. During this flex time, we'll be able to offer kids 7, 8 adults that can help support their various needs, whether it be foundational skills or whether that be enrichment. And so it doesn't matter who you are, everyone is eligible for MTSS, everyone. And the new school allows us to do that. And the hallmark of that is also data analysis. Can you imagine being able to have all of our first grade teachers accessible at one time for data analysis activities to help group our students appropriately versus splintered throughout the district? Being able to cover those things in a more timely fashion. So this school is going to allow us to do that through our MTSS structure. Now, people often say to me, what does that look like? Well, first of all, there's 3 pillars of MTSS. There's academics, there's social emotional needs, and there's behavior. And when I say tiers 1 through 3, what does this look like? I want to give you some examples real quick. So in our new school, the things that we'll be able to do, academically, we know we're adopting CKLA and all these curriculum resources, but we're going to be able to, in tiers 2 and 3, really partition students out to their need. So tier 3 looks a little bit different in that right now aren't able to give students 5 days a week of a support. There's a fierce competition for kids' time. In the new schedule with a 50-minute flex time block, we'll be able to, at tier 3, see kids 5 days a week. And guess what? If you have a need in math and reading, we'll be able to serve that too. Right now, we have that competition for time. Just limitations of the schedule, limitations of staff. So, social-emotional. Right now we use Second Step as one of our hallmark learning pieces for social-emotional needs of students. Students have sometimes breakdowns in those needs. You know, our board invested in social work services, and I'm glad to say that we're also going to be bringing on counseling supports. So what does that look like in tiers 2 and 3? It means kids that are having breakdowns in those areas will have access to people to be able to help rectify it. Social groups, kids that are having social skill deficits, we can run more groups for those students during those flex times, not interrupting their academic day. And what does tier 3 look like for that? Just smaller group, Some kids don't operate even well in a small group. Sometimes they need one-on-one or one-on-two intervention. For behavior, positive behavior intervention and supports, you've heard of PBIS maybe before. Franklin's working hard at trying to make that lift. But in a school such as this, the beautiful thing is we're going to have a common language about behavior in our school. Think about this. Have you ever had your teacher say to you, quiet down? For a lot of kids, they're like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean I should just stop talking? What does that mean? So our PBIS teams made lots of charts for students to be able to visualize what that means. We have voice levels, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of the students here may already know about that. But teaching kids what does a level 1 voice look like in the library? What's the level 3 voice like? That's for the playground. So getting this common knowledge about behavior and expectations and explicitly teaching those expectations to kids. What does tier 2 look like? Maybe students who need greater self-regulation skill building. We use zones of regulation right now in that way, and so we do a second step as well, but pulling kids in for small group for those things. We're going to have counselors and social workers available. And in tier 3, again, smaller group. Maybe some students that need more behavior contracts, behavior plans. Those are things we're going to be able to do. So very excited about bringing staff together to support all these needs versus trying to have one person do it all for kids with their academic, behavior, and social and emotional needs. And I'm going to ask Dr. Shu to come up here. My colleague, Dr. Shu, the supervisor of special education. I'm just going to stay up here with you.
Hi, everybody. As Dr. Minch said, I'm Dr. Shu. I'm the supervisor of special ed. I think this is finishing up my 7th year at the district, and I am so excited about this opportunity. As Mandy was talking, there were some things that I had forgotten because we had planned it such a long time ago. And one of the parts of my slide that I completely didn't discluded because it was so assumed now is accessibility for all and ADA opportunities. Right now, our current buildings are not all ADA accessible. As issues arise, we make changes to support all students. But even when Mandy was discussing our gardening, we've taken into account wheelchair accessibility and accessibility for all students. That's something that we don't necessarily have right this second. And as we're looking to build things, we're making sure it is truly designed for inclusivity for all students, no matter what their abilities or what their needs. We're currently working on a universal for design for learning, which has the flexibility of options for environments to better support engagements for hands-on opportunities in the collaboration of STREAM. As we know, different students, especially in our realm of student support services, learn differently. When we start talking about these furniture designs and these different environments, those are really to meet the needs of all students. Again, not all students learn the same, and when we look at these options that we're doing, it really does support each individual student's needs. For example, we have flexible physical layouts where we can accommodate mobility aids, sensory needs, and different groupings for both individual, small group, and whole class environments. The ability to use mobile furniture in quiet corners to support that flexibility of instruction also helps the opportunity for students to self-regulate. They can now move a corner or a desk in the classroom without having to leave the classroom, which affords more opportunities for learning and more inclusive opportunities. Also, with the idea of flexible opportunity, we can use more visual cues for supervision. Also, as we do the design for peer interaction and collaboration for learning, station teaching, circled seating, and cooperative stations. These are all opportunities that we can use when we're using co-teaching. In addition, we provide designated spaces for one-on-one support, discrete redirection, and collaboration, all things extremely appropriate and necessary when working with our special populations and all students. Dr. Minch touched upon it a little bit, but we have increased access to specialized staff and programs. He talked about the idea of ESL, making that difficult phone call. Right now, we have specialized programs in each different building. For example, we have ESL in some buildings. We also have life skills in some of our buildings, and we have autistic support in other buildings. In this building, all students are going to go to their neighborhood schools with their neighbors and their siblings together. We're going to have full-time staff, OT, occupational therapy, physical therapy, social work services, gifted, that have been splintered throughout the building so thinly that these students are going to have access to their staff all time. That alone is such a huge benefit to support our students. We're also going to have the ability for more peer grouping and inclusive opportunities. So as it stands right now, we're looking at having one learning support teacher for both co-teaching and pull-out instruction. That's really a difficult opportunity to do amongst 5 buildings with so many different needs. We can group students' needs based on their specific needs so the teachers aren't spread so thin, and we can really focus on those direct student needs to improve their growth. Also, having that kind of model allows for more consistency for co-taught teams to be more cohesive, with greater focus being placed on the students' needs. Also, there's more opportunities for inclusive opportunities. I can't wait to bring Best Buddies, which we have a huge following at the secondary level, to the elementary level. When we've got more students, we can have more opportunities for inclusive activities. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about our shared resources. We're going to have more sensory rooms, adaptive technology, and therapy spaces to reduce duplication of resources, programs, and equipment. So we're going to be not only effectively using our supports, but the resources themselves. We're going to have multiple sensory rooms, which are accessible to all students, not just those in our specialized programs. Because to be honest, everybody needs a little self-regulation time, including myself. We're also going to have increased access with Bluetooth technology for students that are hearing impaired, and increased accessibility for students with mobility. So all in all, when you look at the building, we're increasing accessibility for all students, not just our students with special needs. This is both of us. So as we taught, the one thing that we really wanted to highlight is that no services are going to be without. We are going to continue our services and support as we started. Nobody is going to be furloughed, and we're going to continue our speech services, our gifted services, special education supports, our calm down services.
And just to bring it home here with like nursing services as an example, we currently share a CSN that goes from building to building during the week. Now 2 CSNs will be at that building throughout the week. So things like that, we're able to bring these resources into one building. We've already talked about ESL, but one thing to mention about the counseling and social work supports, we're finally going to have a cohesive K-12 program. Like we have been without that. So we're going to be able to achieve that strategic plan goal that we had to get that cohesive system in place. So very excited about that as well. And that's student support services. We're excited about it, if you can tell. So coming up next is Mrs. Volpe.
So here in Bethel Park, we say together we soar. And anybody that goes to Ben Franklin Elementary School knows about the work that they have created and piloted and brought to their school for positive behavioral interventions and supports. So Dr. Mensch mentioned that the tiers are meant to help support students where they are, whether it's the full building, in their ecosystem, in their grade level, their neighborhood, their house, or individually. And so they have worked on using the word SOAR for students to earn positive rewards and also to set behavioral expectations for the whole school. So within the next year, we plan to have committees of members of every elementary school in NAMS come together and work on what will that look like in our new building and how can we create some really great positive rewards for our students who make good choices and to help students make better choices throughout their day. Okay, and now I'm going to bring up Beth Wells, who's going to talk about literacy in our K-5 building.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Beth Wells, and I'm the Director of Literacy, and I'm just going to take a minute, I promise, it'll just be 1 minute, to talk to you about the literacy programming in our K-5 school. So very quickly, for everyone's information, Pennsylvania signed into law in October of 2024, Act 135 of 2024, which included some structured literacy requirements. And I'm very proud to say that Bethel Park has been working very hard, and we are ahead of the curve, so to speak, on what we already have in place for our students and for our staff. Some of the requirements are evidence-based reading instruction and curricular materials, and our board did pass the purchase of CKLA last year, and we are currently in our first year of implementation, K-5, with our CKLA materials. We do need to have some literacy intervention materials and approaches. We also purchase foundations, and our plan for year 2 is to offer professional development on the CKLA resources that will be available in those interventions that our special student services department talked about. Universal screening, we have used Map Growth and Map Fluency for the past couple of years, and those screen our students not only in literacy but also in mathematics. And our professional development program, and so for the past 3 years we have been working on training our specific groups of teachers in specialized and personalized literacy training based upon their certifications and where they are teaching. So we are very proud of the work that Bethel Park is doing in this regard. And one of the things about the science of reading is that it is a science, that there is a band of research behind how students learn to read, and that 95% of students given explicit, systematic instruction can learn how to read in that Tier 1 environment. And so what we need to learn how to read is our word recognition, which are our sounds, our letters, and we need our language comprehension. We need background knowledge, we need to understand vocabulary, our syntax, our grammar, and be able to understand what we read to make inferences, and thus draw the connections and read for meaning. And so we need a program that has both of these components for our students. And that takes us to our CKLA, which is being used in our K-5 currently. Our K-2 programming is broken up into 2 strands. There is the knowledge strand. This is where they learn those language comprehension ideas, background information, vocabulary, some of our social studies and science topics are reflected in those units. And then our K-2 foundational skills strands. This is where they learn their phonemic awareness, their letter sounds, how to blend, and how to pronounce words. And then in 3 to 5, we have our skilled reading, where we have one cohesive unit. They're not broken down into skills and knowledge because they're more advanced skills, morphology of words, and again, those content topics. Okay, Mrs. Miracle.
So as the new school continues to be built, literally, we will be very busy in the coming year helping to transition the community as well for its opening. So our transition planning has been broken down into 3 distinct groups in our school community: our students, our staff, and our families. So one thing I can say is that children are resilient. They are so highly adaptable to change. And I think anybody who had students in the school system throughout the pandemic and the ensuing years can recognize that children truly are resilient. When they see that we're confident and that we've adapted to a new surrounding, they will be able to do it as well. So we're really confident that they will love coming to our new school, and that we have a lot of planning to do to lead up to the first day. There will be several opportunities for students to get to explore the new space before the first day of school. And we have many things planned for the first days of school as well to help with that transition for students as they come into a new space in every grade level. As you can see in this picture, 2 of those 3 are my children, and they are headed to kindergarten in this coming year, and that's them taking their first tour of their elementary school. And so I snapped this picture because they really were on their own exploring. We were behind them. So that just shows you that kindergartners are ready to walk into a new environment and find their own way. We also know that we're putting together one staff made up of 6 distinct groups coming from each building, and we're going to be working throughout the coming year to help them create a unified vision of what the Bethel Park Elementary School means for us together. Every one of our staff members will bring unique skills and talents to our new space, and it's our job to create those opportunities for them to continue to be the innovators that they are in education. I have no doubt that we'll be able to bring the essence of each building with us, the thing that makes each school wonderful, and forge those things together into new traditions in our new school. And we know, as Dr. Walsh said earlier, what makes our schools great are the people in them. And so they will be there, most of them, who are not retiring, where they go. And they will continue to bring magic for your children each and every day the way they do now. And finally, our families. We know that change is hard, and change is sometimes harder for us than it is for our children. We have perhaps people in our family who have attended these elementary schools, generations of family who have attended these elementary schools, and definitely that have come through Neil Armstrong, since we see every student in 5th and 6th grade, and there's been different iterations of the building over the years. So right now, we're all planning that last year in each of our schools and making it truly memorable for all of our students. I know at Neil Armstrong, we're working hard to plan what that will look like in our last year. While that's occurring, we will also be planning how we become one big happy family at Bethel Park Elementary School, and we're going to do that by providing timely communication throughout the transition. We're going to make sure that we're honoring the histories of the buildings that we're coming from, and that we're working together to forge new traditions. And to help us in doing that, we have the PTO of the Bethel Park Elementary School. I see them over there in the wings, ready to come on stage. And they're going to talk to you a little bit about the Bethel Park Elementary School PTO, and I love that they already have shirts made.
Okay, hello, everybody. My name is Jen Scalzo, and I am from William Penn Elementary School. First, we would like to start off by thanking Dr. Walsh. Thank you so much for inviting us tonight and giving us this opportunity to speak with everyone and to meet some new families this evening. To give a little background of how we came to be, for years, the PTO leaders from all of the schools have been discussing the future of the elementary school. The PTO particularly, and what it might look like. Eventually, it came time to put pen to paper and to get to work building what we hoped would be a great future experience for the children and the families of Bethel Park. And thus, the interim PTO board was established.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deanna Ford. I'm from Lincoln Elementary. Thus far, we've worked together with the existing PTOs and the district administrators to write our first set of bylaws. We've established ourselves as a tax-exempt organization in Pennsylvania, opened a bank account, began accepting seed donations from the existing PTOs so that we're able to start fundraising ourselves and programming. We've been taking community input this year, starting first with a widely distributed online survey in September, which some of you may have seen, followed by 2 in-person brainstorming sessions with lots of Bethel Park families, and we see a lot of familiar faces from those meetings, so thank you for coming out. We'll ask you to mark your calendars, and you'll be seeing information on this coming up soon. Our next meeting will be Thursday, May 29th here at NAMS in the cafeteria, so you get to get a look at the building again then. We hope to see a lot of you there.
And lastly, at our next meeting next week, We're going to review proposed schedules of events and fundraisers for the opening year 26 to 27. And in the meantime, work to establish committees of our experienced volunteers from all the schools as we learn to merge everybody. We'll also build future event agendas and budgets, and then ultimately elect our full inaugural board and approve our 26 to 27 budget in May of next year. In addition, we will spend the next year continuing to fundraise, and actually on Wednesday, if you want to meet us at Chick-fil-A, we'll be there. So it's a really easy dinner. We also have handouts at the table on your way out this evening that has all the links to our website. You can sign up for a membership, as well as our newsletter and the committees as well. So we'll be right outside after the meeting. Thanks.
And I'm back. Okay, I'm going to talk about next full day kindergarten, which is one of my passions in my career, is having our youngest learners set up for success from their first day of school. We all know that our youngest children just are sponges, and they are so ready to learn anything that we're willing to offer them. And so a full day of kindergarten is going to be a wonderful experience for them in this new building. As you can see throughout, I have pictures of my twins who are going to kindergarten, and you can see the things that they gravitate to immediately. Play. They want to play everywhere and on everything all the time, and they're learning the whole time they're playing. My son was working with those gears at a playground the other day, and my daughter loves trying to climb literally anything. So we know that kindergartners need things that are developmentally appropriate because their attention span is a little bit smaller than everybody else's. They need things in chunks, they need structure, but they also need the opportunity to move and play and have lots of fun while they're doing it. So we're expecting our classrooms to have flexible seating, areas for centers for them to move, lots of hands-on materials, and age and level appropriate interactive learning tools. So that could be something that's high-tech and something that's low-tech as well. So right now what we're working on is building the vision of what we want a full day of kindergarten in Bethel Park to look like. We're researching nearby programs. We're looking at the best practices that are out there now and what we think the future will hold for our students and how we can help them meet that future. But what we really want to base our planning off of is what is the goal for our first graders in Bethel Park? How do we make sure that all students who enter kindergarten are ready for first grade? What do those outcomes look like here? As you can see, they came to me on Bring Your Child to Work Day, and they loved learning in the band room with the band students. So you can see these are the steps that we'll be taking to craft the full day kindergarten journey for students. Once we have all of these things in place, then we'll be able to share those plans with the community and talk about how students will thrive in our new environment. And from there, we will plan many transition activities for students to transition from pre-K, if they're attending one now or not, and how they can be ready for kindergarten. Kindergarten readiness is a major factor in success for students. We also want to make sure we have a great kindergarten orientation so that they feel extra comfortable when it's finally time to come to school for the first time in our new building. And we want to make the first days of school wonderful for them. So that might look a little bit different than the rest of the school. They may not be doing the first few days the same way as other students do. And finally, then we'll be planning what supports we'll need for our smallest Blackhawks. As you can see, we just graduated pre-K on Wednesday night, and they're heading to kindergarten. So we've started practicing our skills, such as how to eat a lunch in a specific amount of time and how to open all of the things that you need in the cafeteria yourself. Hopefully, we'll be able to share all of these skills with our incoming kindergartners as well. Okay. Chris Bolin is after me to discuss technology.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Boland. I'm the Director of Technology and Innovation for Bethel Park. I just want to touch base about some of the building features that are going into the new school. Replacing the outdated low-quality projection systems will be 75-inch interactive displays in every classroom. Also, in each classroom will be enhanced audio and office communications. The new building will house an integrated system that will allow the teacher's voice to be amplified to the speakers in the system, allowing every student to hear. The system also makes for very easy classroom to office communication, featuring a two-way talk communication as well as urgent alert notifications. Each teacher will have the ability to instantly notify the office in the event of an emergency with simply the push of a button. Modern network equipment featuring the latest switching and wireless technologies. Brand new building means brand new technology, so we'll have the latest and greatest. We'll also have a very high-speed connection to our main hub at the high school. Digital door access control. Essentially, this is a new digital system that uses RFID technology, eliminates the need for keys. The biggest benefit is that security in the office can make changes on the fly to certain doors and permissions accordingly for staff. Digital LCD signage. I think this was mentioned before. There'll be managed digital panels strategically placed throughout the building. Those panels will be outfitted with different announcements, different types of alerts, things of that nature. I know this was mentioned earlier, the Tech Rangers. So on each floor, it will house an area for a Tech Ranger. Each one of those will have a level 1 tech as well as a level 2 tech. And the thought behind that is to try to minimize the downtime with any device issues. We want to get the kiddos up and running as quickly as possible. Next, we're going to talk about visitor management. Visitor management system that is tied directly into the building surveillance, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The systems talk to each other in real time and are managed under the same umbrella. Also, the ability to obtain the location of visitors throughout the building. We'll be able to see who is in the building, who is still checked in, who is checked out, and we will also be able to know their whereabouts in real time. Time-saving features for recurring visitors. If you're someone that visits the building quite frequently, there won't be the need to necessarily provide the full detail of information each and every time. We'll have a lot of that information saved. And also there will be mobile check-in and check-out capabilities with the new system. Ability to flag persons of interest and potential risks. This is a nice feature. We'll easily be able to keep track of flagged persons and be notified upon their arrival, as well as having all identifications checked for a known offender list in real time. Campus security. With the new school, we will have a state-of-the-art surveillance system. Utilizes next-generation analytics and intelligence. We will be able to do things like a people or person search based on gender, male or female, the clothing type. Imagine being able to tell the system or ask the system, show me all males wearing red shirts and blue pants. We'll have the availability to do that within seconds. Also, aside from people searches, we can do exterior searches for vehicles and do the same thing. We can search for specific colored trucks, cars, SUVs, buses, things of that nature. Time-saving features for building security and administration. We'll have an AI-powered search with the ability to, again, ask the system to show us specific things. So imagine saying, show me gathering of students in the 100A hall with male students wearing green shirts, things of that nature. So again, our administration and staff, time saving, looking for incidences, that time is significantly reduced. And then lastly, the local authority access and integration. So we'll have a secure cloud access available. So local police, fire, 911 responders, they'll have access in real time. And also incident clips will be able to be built on the fly and sent to them electronically. Next up, I'd like to introduce Dr. Korsinski.
Good evening, everyone. I'm important because I'm last. So I have 2 slides, okay? So I'm going to go as quick as I possibly can. I'm Mark Korsinski. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Operations. We briefly touched on the building security enhancements. There are a number that he shared. There are some that aren't shared because it falls within our emergency operations plan that we won't share with the general public. But know that there will be a lot of features just in general fenced-in areas so that the children can't have access to parking lots and so forth. Monitoring systems that make sure that they're safe, your fire safety, things of that nature. There are on-site safety personnel. I'll show you here in a minute the map that will control traffic flow, how people move, access to X, Y, and Z. We have a robust emergency preparedness system, both with our county agencies, our local authorities and whatnot, and as well as our 3 police officers that we will have 1 in each building once we transfer to this facility. Communication, we have state-of-the-art communication with either radio, cell phone, and other technological advances. And my partner's already talked about the student service support, so I'm going to pass through that one quickly. The important one, transportation. To run our district currently, and then we have done some algorithms, worked with our partners in our technology. We will have approximately 40 buses. You see a lot of approximation symbols and asterisks up there. These are approximations because we have a number of partners that we transport outside of our district. Your parochial schools, some of our schools for support services. So it's estimated right now that about 40 buses will do our entire run. Will 40 come on this campus? No, but know that that's how many buses will be transporting our students. Arrival time is approximately 8:20 to 8:45. We're working out those issues to find the most optimum time for our secondary run and then as well as our primary run. With a departure time, if you can imagine, K through 5, all leaving at one time, we will have a 2-tiered departure somewhere between 3:20 and 3:45 so that our young students will get home on a timely basis. There are car rider procedures. If you look at our map, and the blue line, well, let me go through this first. Everywhere you see a red line is a gate. And so it'll have controlled access. There will be both a physical barrier as well as a person there to control that access, both from the King School roadside as well as Murray and Boyer. Your blue line is a dedicated bus entrance or bus staging area. You can see we have bus entries down in the south portion as well as some up by the 3-5 playground. Those will be controlled. No personal vehicles will be allowed in there, and those will be managed by safety personnel, both at pickup and drop-off. You have other places where the vehicular drop-off is in the purple. That's where parents can come drop off. It is through the last parking lot, and it goes through the entire street, drops off at the front of the school, and then you exit out King School Road. I think that's one of the nice things is we have existing exits and entries as well as parking. You'll see the number of parking. The numbers aren't on all of those, but there is parking scattered throughout our campus, and it should afford us the opportunity to get our children drop-offs in and out quickly as long as everybody works with the security team and the personnel to get people in or off our campus. At this time, I get to turn it over to Dr. Walsh for Q&A.
Jeez. Okay. First, thank you. That was really great, super informative. You're probably a little bit reeling with information and maybe questions. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask them all to come back up and join me here, and we'll take questions from folks that are here tonight in the room and defer to whoever can best answer those questions. And know that we always can be available to you via email. If you want to forward questions our way, we'll make sure we get you the answers that we can to help you be most ready for the August of 2026. So, who'd like to start with questions? What questions do you have? So, good thing is that we still have 6 buildings where kids can go. So we would presumably start the year in our current neighborhood schools, and we then transfer at some logical break point in the school year. We're very confident that that won't be an issue. Don't know. Didn't get that detailed with our contingency plan. What else? K and 1 on the first floor, on the ground floor, 2nd and 3rd on the middle floor, and 4th and 5th on the top floor. This building will be closed. Yes, 6, 7, 8. It's already been ongoing. In fact, we'll be done with the renovations in August. They reopened up the 6th grade wing to make it a classrooms ready again. And correct. In fact, a lot of what you saw up there is already in place at IMS. No, what you saw in that picture was 2 different routes. All the cars will go through that purple line. Get that slide back up for you again. All the car traffic would go through that purple line, and the traffic engineers had estimated over 250 cars would fit in the queue for that. The blue line down bottom is all the bus traffic. And so we'll have the buses stacked and in like parking stalls facing the one. For students getting off the bus, will come in on the ground floor. Students getting out of a car come in on the main floor, or 2nd floor. No. It's conceivable, yes. In fact, what we didn't see in that very first slide was the nice walking path from King's School, sidewalk with guardrail, all the way down to the campus.
Those are still really good questions that we have actually talked about it a lot. And I think because of the size of the building, a lot of things like open houses will have to happen in smaller segments. We probably won't have a lot of things that are for the entire building all at one time. More likely it would be by unit or by name or by some organizational structure we haven't decided on yet. But I do think we'll have to break them down into smaller events.
Yes. So one of the advantages of doing what we're doing here, of course, is a little more equitable distribution of class size. We do not believe that we need to keep all the Lincoln kids together in 2nd grade when they get to the new building, that they'll be distributed more randomly throughout the 2nd grade. They'll be supported with their friend making and all those experiences, but I don't think it's necessarily advantageous for us to kind of keep them grouped by elementary school when they get to the new building. Yeah, it's just about 10 minutes earlier than what they're doing now, and about 10 minutes longer than, where's Jay? There you are. You helped us with this. Yeah, so because he wasn't on the microphone, I'll repeat just a short part of that. It was 10 minutes earlier at the beginning and 10 minutes earlier at the end. But the end will take a little bit longer because of the two-stage dismissal. Yeah, and actually, I'm going to ask Principal again to come back and answer this because it's something they already do. I think when you talk about groupings eat from year to year, in the current configuration, you do consider who are close friends that need to stay together as they matriculate through the years. Do you want to address that at all?
What I can speak to is any students that come into Neil Armstrong, they all get to fifth grade at the same time and they all come together into one large group of 300 students. And typically the process we use to put them in their classrooms, we go by support services first, other things that decide exactly where they go, like instrumentation, things like that. But then we do consider students they've been with in the past, students maybe they should not be with in the future. And we do look at just making sure when students come from each of the elementary schools that they at least know a few familiar faces in their classes. Mhm. Yeah, I agree with you. Just we have to look at how we can do it with everybody all in one neighborhood together.
So you have a lot in that, and I'll sum it up by saying, we can pre-plan as much as we possibly can pre-plan and prep the teachers, the kids, the families for as much as we can prep and prepare. But I don't know that we can cover everything, every condition that they might encounter or experience. The other thing I want to acknowledge is that, yeah, it's big, but they spend 95% of their day in school in a classroom that's the same size here as it was there. And with a teacher, the same teacher as it was there. There isn't the room to run around or be crazy, and the structure that happens in that space will absolutely come from those teachers that have already got really good structures and support systems in place. They'll be, as they do today, taken to their lunchroom, they'll be in line with cafeteria monitors. All of those structures and supports in the small schools will be there triple-fold in the new school. No, no. The two things there. First, you saw that there are two separate playgrounds. So 3, 4, 5 would be up on the upper playground. K1, 2 would be on the lower playground. Different equipment, different interests and supplies. And they're not all eating lunch at the same time. They're eating in smaller groups. Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think that little slice, I'm not sure we have even talked about yet, what the teachers can do next year to talk about and build enthusiasm and sense of efficacy in the kids before they start in August of 26. But yeah, the other part of your question most certainly have open houses and meet the classroom, tour the building kinds of experiences through the latter part of August. Hmm. Yeah, and I'll go back to 2021 with some of our work in the initial strategic plan that we're working on right now. I'd say the larger majority of the folks that were involved in that were looking for all-day kindergarten. It's not to say it was a unanimous piece, but the majority of the folks that were involved in our planning and designing were asking for, if not begging for, an all-day kindergarten experience. Not at this time. Yeah, not at this time. Yes, don't have specifics yet, but they definitely would have their before and after school care. Yes. Yes. Uh, if not there, it'll be in this building. There's fencing throughout on the outer side of it and on the inner side of it, there's fencing. There's gates so you can't drive down onto that space during the school day. And there's security cameras too. Yes. 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 Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to? I think she said what about?
So we have many security and safety procedures in place outside of the AI camera and surveillance. There are other items that we can't share with you, but know that we have covered those and will continue to look for the most recent and most effective security procedures. But again, we're not going to compromise our security plan, but know that that's part of my day. Every day is making sure that we have that, and I'm pretty confident through our technology that we're in a good position. Metal detectors are currently not in that plan, but we are reviewing that. When you say security, I mean, there's the fence that has been installed on the wall, on the north wall. When you say from the hillside, can you elaborate? So that wall is actually a right-of-way. It belongs to the gas company. We don't have any ownership to that, so whoever walks on that, we will continue to monitor, but that doesn't belong to us, and so we work with our partners, Columbia Gas, to keep that a safe place.
Mhm. 14. Mhm. So let's just say, right now we have 280 in second grade. 280 divided by 14 would be about 22 kids. Mhm. Yeah, there are 2 rooms that could be used as swing space for that purpose. If you have a bubble class of 3, crazy class of 320 that comes through, you can flex into those spaces. We've had a 10-year first study analysis done, and the population is anticipated to be stable. Mhm. Yeah, no, not that I'm aware of.
Yes, the current plan is for them to stay in partnership. So we probably won't still have the team names like we do here at Neil Armstrong, but it'll still be teacher partners in 5th grade.
We're still doing some, I'm sorry, who asked that question? Sorry, I didn't want to look at you here. So we'll definitely have a counselor on each floor, okay? And then we're going to have a combination of some social work, and right now we're looking at maybe some BCBA support in the school. So right now I couldn't give you a definite answer on the number, but there'll be support structures at each level in those ecosystems that'll have access to counselors and social workers, okay?
There's two. Yeah, on the main floor you have the main gym, and then down on the ground floor you have what we'll call a primary gym. It's a smaller space for kindergarten, first grade students. Yes. So the auditorium would accommodate 2 full grade levels at one time, but that's about as far as we've gotten with it. And I'm trying to make eyes with PTA moms over there, and they're doing a great job avoiding my eye contact, because that has been one of their great worries too, as to how to break these events down into manageable chunks so both parking and space would be workable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so because she didn't have a microphone, I'll paraphrase. PTO is going to use the first year as the sort of test run for the events, and hopefully they can scale up from there. And if they need to ticket events to control enrollment or attention or participation, then they'll have to go that direction too. Okay. Okay, folks, thank you very much. I want to thank our partners and friends at BPTV for being here tonight and making us look and sound good across the internet. And appreciate all of you being here with us this evening. Have a great night.